All right, everybody, let's get started. So, welcome. It's the Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Time career coaching call. We do this every week, as you know, because you're here. Be sure to share this with your friends. This is an excellent resource for people who are in corporate America or working for nonprofits of a reasonable size, things like that. They want to advance their career. They want to get help with their career. They want to get help with things that are going on at work, with relationships, or finding tools and resources and things like that. So today the topic is how to use one-on-ones with your boss to get a promotion. And this is a really cool topic. We're going to talk about this for maybe like 20 minutes, and then we'll pop it open for a Q&A. We'll talk a little bit more about this. If you have comments or thoughts or feedback or ideas or questions, and you can also, bring up other things that are going on with you, guidance or ideas or things going on at work that you want some thoughts on, and those of us here will share some of our techniques and our history and our experience and try to give you some ideas on what you can do in your career. So we'll do that in a little bit. Right now, what we're focused on is how to use one-on-ones to get a promotion. So in the first few years of my career, one-on-ones were really, I was just kind of doing what my manager told me we should do, and I was just kind of doing what the people around me were doing. And a lot of what that was just talking about work, right? Just talking about the projects, just talking about the tasks, just talking about when things were going to get done. And it wasn't until I had the opportunity to start meeting with my boss's boss, who was a director. When we would have a one-on-one, maybe once a month we had the opportunity to have a one-on-one, it was totally different, right? It was completely different. And when I met with that director, it was all about, what do you like about this company, and where are you going, and what kind of role do you want next, and do you like your team, and do you like the work you're doing, and that kind of stuff. And it was really, really cool. It definitely took the experience, the one-on-one became a mentorship experience instead of a work management kind of experience. And that was really cool. And so I started trying to seek that, right? After a couple of years, I got reorganized, which always happens in corporate America, happens all the time. So I got reorged, and I was reporting to a different manager, a much more experienced manager, and he kind of had that same style as that director. And so we started talking a lot more about the kinds of contributions I was giving and my performance and things like that, instead of talking about individual tasks. It was so cool because all of a sudden I was in sync with my manager on how I was doing and what my contribution was like, and what that was doing for the company, and the things I needed to improve on. And that's what I really latched onto this, right? So let's back up for a second. Let's talk a little bit about why one-on-ones matter. Okay, why does let's go even further back than that. Let's talk about why what your boss thinks matters. Okay, so your boss matters for your career in just a few really major, hugely important ways. The first is that they have huge influence over your trajectory in your career. I don't know what your goals are. You can have all sorts of different kinds of goals. Your manager has a huge influence over whether or not you're going to be able to meet those goals. Maybe you're in project management. You want to be able to take on a certain kind of project or a certain difficulty of project or a certain scale of project. Maybe you're in technology and you want the research kind of projects instead of the day-to-day delivery kind of projects. Maybe you're looking to change teams, or maybe you're looking to change fields or those sorts of things, right? Your manager has a huge influence on your ability to go do those things. Your manager also has a huge influence over your salary and your bonus and your promotion potential, all that kind of stuff, right? So working with your boss and being in sync with your boss and getting guidance and mentorship from your boss is incredibly important if you've got career goals, if you've got aspirations for yourself in your career. Because it's when you're out of sync, that's when things drift, that's when it's just completely up to your boss, right? So what I learned in those one-on-ones with that director really early on, what I learned in those one-on-ones with that really experienced manager who poured into me is that you have to kind of shift, you have to think about one-on-ones differently. One-on-ones aren't an opportunity for your boss to talk to you. One-on-ones are an opportunity for you to move your career forward. And because it's not your boss's career anyway, right? If you're talking about projects and tasks and individual deliveries, you're talking about your boss. You're talking about your boss's deliveries and getting things done. When you talk about you and where you're going and how you're performing, things like that, now you're talking about your career. So we really want to focus on three things. We want, it's really important that with you and your boss, you focus on three things. It's the what you do, how you're doing it, and when you're ready for the next thing. These are really like the three topics that should be coming up all the time. What's and how's and when's should be coming up all the time in one-on-one. So the way most people have one-on-ones is they show up and they sit down and they bring a notepad or a computer and the boss starts talking. And the boss might start asking questions or it might just start talking about things that are going on in the team or whatever, but the boss just starts talking and you just kind of sit there. And you might start talking about specific things you're doing, when it's going to get done, what you're blocked by, tasks. If you're in an agile team, you might be talking about, the piece of work that's assigned to you that's blocked and what are you doing to get it unblocked, things like that. If you're in manufacturing or if you're in sales, you'll be talking about individual tasks and individual problems and how they're getting cleared. And it's, when you're talking about those things, you're really helping your boss. And what I mean when I say that, because I've said that a couple times, is you're really helping your boss get work done, right? You're really focused on the tactical stuff. And that's great for getting work done, but the problem is that it doesn't move your career forward in any way. Because you're not talking about that. Because every week that you have a one-on-one like that, and it goes on and on and on, you drift away from your boss and how your boss thinks about what you're doing and where you're going and what kind of opportunities you want next. And so what you want to do is you want to pivot those one-on-ones so that they're about the what and the how and the when conversations. Right? Now, to do that, you kind of have to know what you want in as the next step in your career. You don't have to know where you're going to end up. You don't have to know exactly what it is you want to be doing. You don't have to have huge plans, but you need to kind of know what the next step is because you want to be able to talk about that. Now, I had lots of time in my career when I didn't know what the next step was, but I just kind of made something up. Oh, I'd like to get a raise. I'd like to get over a certain dollar amount of salary. I'd like to get a promotion. I'd like to be able to, it'd be really cool if I was in management for a long time, right? So it'd be really cool if I had some staff that were in another country that I had to manage or, had multiple teams. These are different kinds of things, right? You just have to kind of pick something. It's really important you have at least one thing you're walking in there with that you're trying to work toward. If you don't, you need to go figure that out before your next one-on-one. And don't use that as an excuse. Just figure it out. Just walk in there with it. So what we want to do is we want to pivot our one-on-ones to look like this. So I'm going to give you the answer to where you're going, and then we can talk a little bit about how to make this adjustment or how to have this conversation. So one-on-ones, they're this next-level, career-focused, getting you a promotion kind of one-on-one. They are generally 30 to 60 minutes long. They're generally every week or every other week, and they're predictable, right? Like they're happening on a regular basis. The invitation, now here's another pivot, the invitation should come from your calendar, not your boss's. Now here's why. Because it's your career. And your boss, when it's on your boss's calendar, a lot of bosses will push one-on-ones around. A lot of bosses will cancel one-on-ones if they have something else going on without moving them around, without making time for them. When it's on your calendar, they send you a decline, but you're still in the driver's seat, right? It's still your meeting invite. You can still go work to find time with them and get time with them. And every single week when they cancel it and you go in and you make time for it on their calendar or with their assistant, if they've got an assistant or whatever, you're communicating to them that they might not want to cancel that one because it's just going to pop right back up. So they might as well just move it, right? So you're giving the right kind of setup for success when that invite comes from your calendar and you fight for it. The third thing is, now, so we talk, 30 to 60 minutes every week or two. The invite should come from your calendar. It's your career. You need to come ready to talk about what's going on from a performance standpoint, from a contribution standpoint, from a, what's going on at the company, from a, hey, I heard this change is coming. Can I learn more about the change? What's behind it? I want to understand, as opposed to I'm just going to react. And then the fourth thing is that when you're done with that one-on-one, you want to take notes and you want to send them to yourself and your boss. This is like your record. It's really important to not just keep that record for yourself, though, to to show your boss that you're taking those notes about that feedback and about the direction, because that way if your boss sees anything like it was miscommunicated, your boss can bring it up. Your boss also then has the record of things that you've talked about and has that written record of your performance, because you're talking about your performance, without having to do any additional work. And they know they can just go back in there and go find those emails and go have that record. And so it's really powerful to use these 4 steps, right? These 4 things in a one-on-one. 30 to 60 minutes every 1 to 2 weeks. The invite's on your calendar. You're driving it. You come ready with the things you need to talk about, and you're taking notes and sending them to yourself and your boss. So most bosses don't do one-on-ones with this kind of strategy. So it's important to talk about how to pivot the one-on-one to an approach like this. So most managers will be really open to it. That's the first thing you need to know. You're probably not going to have any trouble getting it set up like this with your manager. Basically, the way this goes is at your next one-on-one, you want to talk to your manager like explicitly about this. You want to let them know that, hey, I want to make sure that I'm having time with you to get your guidance and mentorship and get an understanding for what you think my contribution is, so that I can be working on that, and so that I can be working on my career goals and moving forward toward those things. And so here's what I want to do. I'd love to be able to show up with topics that we can talk about. I'd love to go ahead and run the invite from my calendar, and just explain to your boss what you'd like to do. And I tell you, like 99% of the time when I've suggested this to people and they've gone and done it, the answer from that manager was always like, yeah, sure, sounds great. I'd love for you to take control, right? That'd be awesome if I don't have to have the pressure of figuring out what to talk about. So you realize that your manager probably wants this already and doesn't necessarily know how to do it. Realize that your manager probably wants more from you and wants to help you with your career, but doesn't necessarily know how to do it. You might need to make a little adjustment for them to help it work. You might need to give them a way that they can get visibility into your tasks and projects and what your blockers are and if you're making progress, right? Because if that's what that one-on-one has been for, you might need to give that to your manager in some other way. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's in a separate conversation, maybe it's in a project meeting, I don't know. But you might need to close that gap. You can't necessarily just take that away and still be successful. So let's say you get there, right? I want to paint a picture for you because I want you to understand how important this is. So when you get to this place where one-on-ones are this new way and you're talking about the what and the how and the when, and you're getting the feedback and the mentorship and you're driving it and you're asking how it's going and you're talking about what the experience is, you get some amazing stuff back from that. So here are some of the amazing things you get back from that. You get feedback on not individual tasks, but on your capability and on your ability to solve problems and your ability to work with other people. That's really powerful. It's not just about, oh, you're late or, oh, you're on time or, oh, talk to this person to clear that blocker. Another thing you get is you get mentorship, because over time your manager is going to start to learn about you and what's important to you and see your motivation toward achieving your career goal, and they're going to start mentoring you. This is just going to happen. There's no way for it to not happen unless they run screaming from the building when it's time for your one-on-one. Another thing you get is access to information that the other people around you don't have. If you're inquisitive, if you're curious, if you want to know about your company, if you want to know about the things coming that are going to impact you and your career and your team, your manager has a lot of information, knows a lot of stuff that the other people around you don't. So what you want to do is you want to get access to that information, right? That helps you make better decisions. It helps you get better at doing what you're trying to do, which is to get that promotion, to get to that next level. You also get access to people. Your manager knows a lot of people that you don't know. So you got both the information side and the people side, right? And big companies are all about the network you have and the network you can use to solve problems and get past challenges and design new things and solve for opportunities and things like that. So by having this kind of one-on-one, you're probably going to hear from your manager that, oh, well, maybe you should go talk to so-and-so. Maybe you should go talk to that person over there. You'll start to be able to build your own network based on their network instead of just being confined to the team you're in. And this all, right, if you're using all of this as a big feedback loop and an opportunity to find out what you need to get better at, this all helps you get on that career goal track. Maybe your goal is a promotion. This gets you on that promotion track. Maybe your goal is to jump into management. This gets you on that management track, right? You now have access to the right kind of conversation that you can use to move in that direction. And this is how you use your one-on-one to get that promotion or to get that career goal. So I don't want to completely drain this. We're going to move on. And so just before we completely separate ourselves from this, there's a resource. There's 2 resources up on the website, jeffreykelly.info. There's a worksheet there you can use to outline basically what it is I want to talk about this week and the feedback notes and that kind of stuff that you get. It's real simple. It's a half page, so that you can use multiple. You can save the trees, and you can use that as a tool as you're trying to get into the habit of figuring out what to talk about in your one-on-ones ahead of time. The other thing there is that there's a really in-depth article on how to use your one-on-ones to get a promotion. It goes much deeper into what your boss thinks matters, how to structure your one-on-ones, the kinds of conversations you'll have, and how to use the one-on-one to really help achieve your goals. So definitely do go check those out if you have not already checked them out. If you're getting the emails each week about the conference call number, then you're also getting the blog post link in there, and you can definitely check that out ahead of time. So I love this topic. I love this topic because it makes a really huge difference in the trajectory people have in their careers when they take this on and they know how to work with their manager to help advance their career. So before we jump into just like open Q&A, I'd love to just know from a couple of you, how do you do one-on-ones with your manager? How has it been going? Does it move your career forward for you? Are you getting the difference that I'm trying to explain here? And do you think this would be a good thing to try? So I'm going to unmute y'all. Go ahead and pop in. I'd just love to hear from a couple of you on how your one-on-ones go now and what you think this would do for your relationship with your manager and for your career track.